Nalu FM Finance Podcast. Insight into the financial markets.
With an index, you can have an investment universe in a specific sector, but don't need to have the research of our whole team.
This podcast is powered by Vesta, the engine behind active management. Vesta is a Switzerland-based fintech startup that provides software for issuers of actively managed certificates to automate their value chain fully. Visit Vesta, VESTR.com to schedule a meeting with an expert and to learn more about Vesta.
I'm here with Daniel Knoblach, managing partner of Super Global. Thank you, Daniel, for having me here today. Let's jump right in and, Daniel, who are your typical clients? What do you do and how do you help them?
Sure. Thank you, Stefan, for having me. Super Global is a securitization and fund provider in Germany and Luxembourg. And we work with a wide range of institutional clients. There are no typical clients, but often we work with external asset managers, family offices, and pension funds. We launch and we set up and administrate funds as well as securitization vehicles and have offices in Germany and in Luxembourg.
What type of products are you supporting? Can you give maybe a couple of examples of, funds and aims? Securitization is a high level. What is?
Yeah, that's true. We have funds in Germany, traditional funds, bond funds, but also very specialized, tailor-made funds, for example, for family offices. And in Luxembourg, we provide all kinds of securitization solutions. For example, we have green bonds, crypto AMCs, and also index AMCs, which are very exciting at the moment. There's a very high demand on AMCs in particular. And perhaps I explain in a few sentences what AMCs are.
Yes, please.
AMCs are a depositable security. So an investor can purchase it via their depository bank. And the issuance proceeds can be used to manage the active strategy of the external asset manager. It makes it much more easier for the asset managers to handle their portfolio, and their customer administrative and compliance advantages for them are very, very big.
And if you compare, for example, the AMCs or the securitization you're using there versus sort of a fund, is there a difference in cost, time to market?
Yes, it is. Funds are a little bit more expensive in the setup, and the time to market is with AMCs faster. Nevertheless, funds are not that expensive as most people think. That's very important to mention, because often people think I can use a fund only when I have hundreds of millions. That's not true.
But maybe to clarify this, we're talking about AIF funds, not UCITS funds.
Yes, that's
There's
very
also
important.
a wide range of differences in funds.
Yes, correct. Thank you. Our products are only for professional investors. That's very important to mention. This is true. Thank you.
Okay. Now on the AMC side, you mentioned, or we talked about it earlier, index-linked AMCs.
Yes.
What is an AMC or index-linked AMC or AIF? I believe both are possible.
Yes, it's true. Both are possible. You can structure either an AIF or an AMC that it follows an index. It makes things easier for asset managers to design their own index, and they don't have to do all the research every day. They can design the index to their requirements, and the AMC or the AIF can automatically follow the index. There are big advantages in regard to the compliance. And of course, not everybody has a research team with 100 people. And the index composition has a lot of advantages in this specific case.
And the index ensures whatever day or whatever's happened anywhere else in your life, it gets executed. It's done. It happens.
Yes, true. At the beginning, you design an index. It reflects 100% your requirements. You can define the universe, you can define the methodology of the index. Should it rebalance weekly, monthly, everything, almost everything. And the AMC or the AIF will track the index, and all the execution is done automatically.
Now, there's many reasons why potentially it makes sense to design your own index, because what we're talking about here is not do an AMC that is linked to the Euro stocks or the FTSE, but to an index that you as an asset manager or investor have designed yourself. What are sort of the main advantages of doing this with your designing your own one?
You have your own name on the index, so it's an advantage for your customer and for your brand.
So you keep the IP and the brand for it.
Correct.
Excellent.
The intellectual property doesn't leave you. Of course, you can implement all your criteria you want to have in the index. You can also do a back testing at the beginning of the index. You can choose between the universe, the methodology, between everything. And at the end, there's a rule-based index, but it has all the requirements you need for your particular situation or for your particular investors.
So how best does somebody go about actually designing an index? You know, it's not going to be one of the ones I mentioned earlier who are just capital weighted and pick the top 50 stocks. That's, you know, there's way more there's way more you can do with this, with the offering that you have.
Yes, this is true. For example, there are a lot of indices we see which are ESG driven. They are currently being established and they have a lot of sustainability criteria in it. So, for example, you have the investment universe of the US market, and you add the ISG criteria you like, and, for example, a few other parameters such as market capitalization. And then in the end, you have an ESG-driven US market index that perfect fits into the requirements of your investor.
Exactly. You mentioned earlier that, you know, that you can do back testing. Why is that important in a sense? Or what do you achieve with back testing?
For many reasons. Mainly, of course, to find out how a certain strategy would have worked in the past. Then there are other risk management and comparative modeling reasons. But often data is expensive and difficult to get. But this is different with our index solution. Our customers have the possibility to backtest the index when they create it directly in our software and implement it directly into their specific index. Yes, correct.
Yeah. And I mean, it's a good way to basically test things for certain scenarios. You know, how did it behave in 2008? How did it behave during COVID crisis? And you can basically test and to a certain extent stress your strategy. Is there, maybe you can give us maybe one or two examples for a client application of a investor product that is linked to your own index? You mentioned ESG. Is there other ones that come to mind?
Yes, there are industry or sector-driven indices. Yeah. At the moment, we see them often. And for some external asset managers, it's difficult to oversee every branch or every sector. And with an index, you can have an investment universe in a specific sector, but don't need to have the research of our whole team. You can allocate your investor into this index and give them the chance to participate on a certain branch, which is very, very attractive for them.
So you also said earlier that you keep the IP and you can name the index of it. That means you can basically build a track record that is published?
Yes, it's your own index. Mm-hmm. The index can be published and the AMC as well. We can also list the AMC on a stock market exchange. It can have a Bloomberg ticker. So the track record is visible and the AMC also will be audited. And the AIF, of course, as well, by a Luxembourg or by a German auditor. And the
index is calculated by an independent calculation agent?
Yes. They are EU benchmark regulated. In my opinion, for an investor, it's a perfect setup. You have a regulated entity, but a very cost-effective setup for an index which is automatically executed.
Yeah. Can you also say outright, I want to exclude, I don't know, UBS stocks because I'm already way overexposed to UBS because I've too many shares. So you can not only customize it, you can also personalize it.
Yes, you can exclude every stock or every universe. You can even exclude low market capitalization, for example. There are almost no limits to personalize an index.
Now, if you own the index, can it also be licensed by third parties if they wanted to?
Yes, this is possible. As the IP stays with you, you can make it available to other external asset managers or to other investors and gain money.
So you get basically paid for your IP. That's good.
Yes.
Now, you have been in the sort of securitization business for asset managers for quite a while. What kind of trends do you see these days?
Certainly the demand for automatization. This also let us develop the index idea. Because you have a lot of more regulatory obligations and often a limited number of research people or not that big team as banks have, it makes sense to outsource some processes and cover certain sectors or asset classes automatically with an index.
I mean, it's your IP, it's your investment logic, but all the time-consuming part of the regulatory side and the actually execution, NAV calculation, fee deduction, everything else is taken care of by you.
Exactly. The index is designed by our client, but everything else, the implementation, the setup, the regulatory work, the NAV calculation, as you said, even the execution is done by us. And the investor has a depositable security in their depots, and that's what counts at the end.
Yeah, I mean, it's a freely transferable security.
Exactly.
With a security ID that you can purchase, buy and sell. Excellent. Sounds very interesting. I could imagine quite a few people would like to maybe get in contact with you. What's the best way to get in contact with you?
You can write me directly, dk@super-global.lu, or simply visit our website. It's super-global.lu. And we're always happy to welcome you in our offices in Munich or Luxembourg.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Nalu FM Finance Podcast. Insight into the financial markets.
This podcast is powered by Vesta, the engine behind active management. Vesta is a Switzerland-based fintech startup that provides software for issuers of actively managed certificates to automate their value chain fully. Visit Vesta, VESTR.com to schedule a meeting with an expert and to learn more about Vesta.